Hi everyone, welcome to Gateway Lectures. Here we have the questions, solutions for the day 14 quiz, and today's topic is all about metal forming. And here is our first question, and it is on white drawing. So for the first question is on white drawing, and the second question what we are dealing with is regarding to the forging. Okay, and the third question is rolling, and the fourth question is deep drawing, and the final fifth question is difference between forming and machining. These all will be discussing today, all the 5 questions. I've taken separate questions for each topic. There are many such important questions on this. In production, see, if you know the concept and also if you know the formulae, it is very easy to solve all the questions in production regarding GATE, ESC and all other engineering level examinations. There will be not much logic in these production questions. They will be straightforward to the question. Just you need to know the formula and why you need to know where to apply that formula. Right, here comes our first question. Determine the drawing stress to reduce the 10 mm diameter of steel wire. Here the wire was not printed, to 8 mm with a semi-diangle. So this is they are applying a drawing and there is a semi-diangle of 6 degrees and the coefficient of friction is given as 0.09. Consider the flow curve equation of the material to be. Okay, the flow curve equation was also given. Sigma F is equal to 1300 epsilon power 0.3 megapascals. So first of all, in this question, the initial diameter was given as 10 mm, and we need to apply the drawing operation, and then finally the final diameter should be 8 mm, right? And the semi-diangle generally it is denoted by alpha, and this is 6 degrees. You refer to the derivation for this deep drawing. You refer to each and every case derivation. It is not discussed here, but few important terms to be derived will be derived in the lecture itself. But any derivation for the formula, you just go through the derivation once or twice. You practice the derivation, and later on you will not have any use with the derivation. Just note down all the formulas present in that operation, and just you take the note and practice, revise the formulas whenever you have time. So here alpha is 6 degrees. That is nothing but the semi-diangle, and the coefficient of friction was given as 0.09. Okay, when we are making a derivation, to make a simplify one term where it is a recurring term, we denote it by B, and that B is nothing but mu cot alpha. So the mu was given in the question 0.09 and cot of alpha is 6 degrees. Okay, when we calculate that, we are getting our value of B as 0.857. We keep it aside. We'll be using this in our formula. And the first thing to calculate here, they were asked to calculate the drawing stress, final drawing stress. For that we need to calculate initially what will be the true strain here. Okay, first we will calculate the true strain here. Based on the true strain, we will be getting the mean flow stress or the nominal stress value. Okay, here only the flow curve equation was given. How this exactly is the flow curve equation is. Suppose this is our stress strain curve, and here in complete forming operation we will be dealing about the plastic deformation. In strengthometer we will be dealing with the elastic. There we can apply engineering stress, there is no issue. But here we need to take the true stress, and that is nothing but the flow stress, because here plastic deformation with from point to point, depending upon the load, the elongation keeps on varying, the thing but the strain keeps on varying, and it varies according to the flow stress. Okay, here we discuss about the concept of flow stress. You can refer to that. And here this is our stress curve, and the stress axis, this is strain axis. Generally for this type of materials, the stress strain curve will be in this way. This is our ultimate point, and then somewhere around your failure point, right? This is our equation. For this equation was given sigma flow is equal to 1300 into epsilon power 0.3. Okay, this is our ultimate tensile strength point. We'll be calculating everything till this point. After this point, necking will happen, and in necking no need to calculate anything. Even with a little stress, without any stress also there will be a strain occurring. Okay, this is our curve given. Further, generally we'll be making a derivation. We'll be taking a strip somewhere here, strip of d epsilon thickness at a distance of epsilon, and also the total value till the ultimate strength point. Since we are applying forming, we have to take till the ultimate tensile point. That is nothing but E1, nothing but the final true strain. Okay, from here we'll make the derivation. And how we'll make the derivation? Generally, first of all, we'll make the derivation for two things here. One will be making for strain energy in this case, and also the other will be making for mean flow stress or the nominal stress in the case. How to calculate the mean flow stress? Here we know the flow equation, but we don't know the mean flow stress value here because the curve is changing with respect to strain, right? So here how we will make is, and also it is e power 0.3, right? Here how we will make is, we will take sigma flow, nothing but sigma f, nothing but the nominal stress, nothing but the average or the mean flow stress, anything. This is generally given by 1 by E1 integral 0 to E1 sigma f into d epsilon. Okay, sigma f, the equation was given in the question. 1 by E1 we need to calculate here. So how will you calculate E1? So E1 is nothing but the true strain, and generally we know the true strain is given as logarithm of L final upon L initial, and we know the volume of material before deformation is equal to the volume of material after deformation. Therefore, the area into length of initial is equal to area of length of final. From that, L final upon L initial we can write as A initial upon A final. So here this we can write as A initial upon A final, and we know A is nothing but pi by 4 d square I, pi by 4 df square. So this directly we can write as 2 into ln d initial upon d final, and we know the value of d initial and d final. We'll substitute here. We'll be getting the value of E1, and that value comes out to be 0.446. This 0.446 will be using in this equation. We'll apply the integration from the limit 0 to 0.446, and here they gave the sigma f equation. We'll substitute there, and finally we'll calculate the value of sigma naught or sigma f, and that comes out to be 785 megapascals. These are the basic steps to do in the question. When we are solving these type of forming questions, first thing is to calculate the sigma naught, and also in cases if we need true strain, we need to calculate even that. Then from here we'll proceed to the remaining, and here comes our final formula after deriving for this drawing stress. Okay, further the drawing stress is given as, okay, drawing stress equation. And generally in the question here nowhere nothing is mentioned about the back pull, so we are assuming that no back pull, nothing but no back flow of the material, no back force acting on the material. And the derivation is sigma d is equal to sigma naught into, I've said that we have taken a recurring term as b, so 1 plus b upon b into 1 minus r final upon r initial whole power 2b, the whole into, if there is a back stress term we'll be writing plus of the back stress term. Here there is no back stress, so we'll neglect that it is taken as 0. This is all formula we need to you need to remember. Once you need to practice the derivation, and then you need to remember this formula. Once you practice derivation, you will be getting to know what are the conditions taken in the derivation. Okay, this is our sigma d value, and the sigma naught was just now calculated in the question, 795 megapascals, into the 1 plus b value was also calculated in nothing but 0.857 upon 0.857 into 1 minus of the RF value, the final radius, nothing but 8 upon 2, nothing but 4. The initial is nothing but 10 upon 2, nothing but 5, whole power 2 into 0.857. Okay, from this we will be getting the sigma d value as 540.5 megapascals. This is our answer to the question number 1. Okay, this was the question on drawing, why drawing. Okay, you just need to remember this derivation, or else you remember the final formula. Generally this formula after derivation will be coming out to be sigma f is equal to k times e power n plus 1 upon n plus 1 after integration. And if you substitute the limits between 0 to, say, suppose to even, then you will be getting this value. Okay, this is generalized formula we will generally being used, and this is the way in which it is derived. And next comes our question number 2. A strip of lead with initial dimensions 24 mm into 24 mm into 150 mm. If you can observe here, 150 mm is 150 mm is constant in both the cases. So this is a case of a rectangular plate for which width is being constant. The 150 mm is the width actually. The width is being constant. Okay. So first of all we'll do is we'll draw the diagram. Before that we'll just go through the question. A strip of lead with initial dimension 24 mm into 24 mm into 150 mm is forged between two flat dies to a final size of 6 mm into 96 mm into 150 mm. If the coefficient of friction is 0.05, determine the maximum forging force required. We know the forging, right? Forging is an operation of cold working. Okay, then the average yield stress of the lead in tension the average yield stress is also given, that can be used in compression also. Generally this rectangular plate whatever we are taking in forging, it is under case of compression, plain strain compression case. This is a plain strain condition. Okay, so first of all we'll take the diagram here for a rectangular plate. Say suppose this is a rectangular plate, right? This is a rectangular plate, and in the question dimensions were given. So what we'll take is whenever you see the case of rectangular, there is a derivation for this also. You can just go through derivation, but here I am taking what was the conditions taken in the derivation. The 2L is the length, okay, and H is the height. The width is into the board, that is 3-dimensional, and it is not changing in the question, so we will not consider it here. What we'll do is generally this whatever we're talking about the forge, the load, the stress varies in this way. It will be varying parabolically to the center, again reducing in parabolically to the ends, and there are cases of sticking and slipping. If there is sticking, there will be some part of stress, so it will initially have some stress. If there is no sticking, it will start from this axis. So here we need to check for sticking first, whether there is any sticking length possible. If there is sticking length, then you need to take our line from here. So our initial stress will be having this value, nothing but a sticking due to sticking length. Okay, we need to check whether we are having a sticking length or not, then we will proceed to this. So, and here we have said that it will have a maximum at this point. So at this point we will take a line. Generally it will be at the half point, so we will just draw it at the half, somewhere around here it will be, right? This will be around somewhere half. First we will check for the sticking length, if there is any sticking length, then we'll see how it is derived. So when we check for the sticking length, first of all we'll take the initial data whatever was given in the question. The value of H was given in the question as initial, and also one more thing is remember is in forging generally we do all the calculation for the final dimensions. So for final dimensions, in forging we do all the calculations for final dimensions. Okay, and for final dimensions the H value was given in the question as a 6 mm, right? And also the length of the billet, nothing but here we for derivation purpose we have taken as 2L, and that is given as 96 mm, and the coefficient of friction is given as 0.05. So we need to calculate the maximum force here. So first of all we'll check for the sticking length, checking for is there any sticking length possible. Sticking length, okay, and generally sticking length is denoted by XS, and it is given by a formula L minus H upon 2 mu into logarithm of 1 upon 2 mu. This is a general formula. So first the value L is nothing but 96 upon 2, that is 48, minus the value of H was 6 mm upon 2 into the value of mu was 0.05 into ln natural logarithm of 1 by 2 into 0.05. When we calculate this, we will be getting the value like minus 90.155 mm, and since minus it is having, means it is less than 0. Since it is having minus, in this process of forging there will be no sticking length, right? So the maximum will be at the center and the minimum zero will be at 0 at the ends, nothing but the forging load, forging stress, that will be maximum at the center and minimum at the extreme ends. Okay, so there is no sticking length. Now if there is no sticking length, then how will we proceed? For that, without sticking length, there is a formula derived, and that formula is forging stress under no sticking. Forging stress under no sticking, and generally that is given like Px is equal to that. For this we will be taking a strip. Say suppose we said here it will be maximum and here it will be minimum 0, right? And from in between here it is varying. So for varying, what we'll take is we'll take a strip here. Strip is having a thickness of dx and it is at a distance of x from the maximum, right? And if this is x, then this complete distance will be L minus x, right? So whenever we derive that formula, we'll be getting that formula Px is equal to 2k dash. We'll discuss what is 2k dash here. E power 2 mu upon h into L minus x. And generally here, we are taking the rectangular plate and it is under forging, nothing but the plane strain compression, plane strain condition. And for plane strain condition, the value of 2k dash is nothing but 2 sigma upon root 3. This is obtained from von Mises hypothesis. Von Mises hypothesis. This is all you can get from a standard textbook. Here, due to time limit, we will not discuss what exactly von Mises, what exactly is Tresca, what is plane strain, what is plane stress. That all we will be doing in concept series. For this, you need to refer some standard textbooks, and these type of problems will be very easy. For the rectangle plate, we will be using a von Mises. Generally, for deep drawing or the cases there, we will be using Tresca, nothing but the plane stress conditions. There we will be having a tensile stresses acting. So here 2k dash, this is a plane strain compression case. Therefore, the 2k dash is nothing but 2 sigma naught upon root 3. Right. So therefore, we will get our Px is equal to 2k is equal to 2 sigma naught upon root 3 into e power 2 mu by h into L minus x. And the value of sigma naught was given in the question. The average yield stress one tension was directly given in the question, nothing but sigma naught. So we'll substitute here 2 into, and also before substituting, here we have taken Px for a element of dx, nothing but for a small strip, right? So we need to integrate to get the total load. Okay, we need to integrate, and here there will be a term dx. Okay, we need to integrate to get the total load, and the integration will be doing between 0 to L. And when we do 0 to L, we will be getting a total load, total forging load of, that is equal to 0 to L is nothing but here 48. 2L is equal to 96, L is equal to 48. Into 2 into sigma naught value was given in the question 7 upon root 3 into e power 2 into mu was 0.05 upon the value of h was 6 into the value of L was 48 minus x. Okay, into dx. We know e power x integration e power x, and since it is having a numerator term here, it will be coming into the differentiation in the denominator. Once we substitute the limits here, we will be getting our P total final. The load total final is 178.24 kilonewtons. Right. This is a question on forging. Next, the question is on rolling. So rolling operation, and the question is a single pass rolling operation. Okay, it's 20 mm thick. So initial thickness is, let that initial thickness be h1. It is given as 20 mm. Plate with width of 100 mm. So width of the question is 100 mm. Is reduced to a thickness of h2 is equal to 18 mm, and the roll radius, nothing but same, and it is given as of 250 mm. And also the rotational speed of the roller was given as 10 rpm. The average flow stress, here they directly gave the average flow stress value, that is sigma naught, and that is equal to 300 megapascals. Then they are asking us to calculate what is the power required for rolling operation in kilowatts. So for that, first thing is to calculate power, we need torque into omega. Generally, this is the case of rolling, right? It is a case of rotation. So torque into omega. For calculating torque, we need force. So we need a force between the roller and this workpiece. So for that, there are few terms to know. Nothing but the contact length. That contact length is generally denoted by L. Nothing but the effective length in contact between the roller and the workpiece material. And under derivation, you will be getting it as under root of R into delta H. Delta H is nothing but H1 minus H2. Okay, and here under root of the value of R was given in the question 250 mm into the value of H1 was given 20 minus H2 was given as 18. Okay, once we calculate this, we'll be getting the contact length as 22.36 mm. So once the contact length was obtained, you just observe the derivation for rolling, what conditions will be taking in the rolling. So we'll calculate the force. We know force is equal to stress into area. Right, and here the stress is directly given in the question, sigma naught, and this is the case of plane stress. Okay, remember this is the case of plane stress. Sigma naught into area is the contact length L into the width of the workpiece, nothing but the width of the roller there. and it is given in the question as 100 mm, and sigma naught is given in the question as 300 megapascals, into the contact length we obtained is 22.36, into the width given in the question as 100, and from here our force comes out to be 670,800 newtons, close to this. Okay, after getting force we need to calculate power. Power is equal to torque into omega. So first we need torque. Here torque is nothing but the force into the perpendicular distance, and here the perpendicular distance comes out to be LC upon 2, nothing but the contact length upon 2. So that is 670,800 into the LC 22.36, the whole upon 2, and from there we'll be calculating, that is the torque value, we'll be calculating that here 670,800 to 2.3 up by divided by 2 into the omega is nothing but 2 pi n by 60, and the n was given in the question RPM. So 2 pi into n was 10 upon 60. Once we calculate this, we'll be getting the value of power, and the power comes out to be 15.7 kilowatts. 15.7 kilowatts. That is our answer for this question. This is a simple question on rolling. I have not taken too complex. This is a simple question, just to understand what terms it will be having. And here comes our fourth question, that is on deep drawing. This is an interesting question on deep drawing. Generally questions on deep drawing will be a little tricky because they will be involving a lot number of terms. So first of all we'll take what were the given things. First we'll go through the question. If a fully work hardened aluminium block, okay, a fully work hardened mean it is a cold worked aluminium block, and it is having a 100 mm aluminium blank, 100 mm diameter and 1.2 mm thickness. So I'll draw a rough diagram here. This is our blank, and it is having some thickness, right? Okay, and generally we are applying forging here. We are doing a forging, we are applying a deep drawing operation. So this is our blank. There will be something called as die, and there will be something called as plank. We know what is die and plank. Die is the shape in which the material has to be flown. Okay, it is a cavity, and it is a die, and the plank is this is called as die. And generally plank is a punch, nothing but punch actually. The punch is a hardened material which is harder than this workpiece material. This will be used, and we generally will be using hydraulic force here, and in between this we will be placing our workpiece, and here will be the holders. We will be having holders here which hold the workpiece material strongly. So these holders will be providing strength. Once this starts flowing into this, in this holder will be experiencing a tensile forces. Since they are holding them, they will be experiencing tensile forces. So we will see all the dimensions here what are required. In this question given for us, the blank diameter is given as dB, and that is given as 100 mm, and the thickness was given as 1.2 mm. In the question 1.2 mm. In question what we'll do is, in this type of question if nothing is mentioned, we'll assume that this thickness is an average thickness, so overall for the material. So once this material will be finally converted into a cup, since it is a deep drawing operation, and generally the condition for deep drawing is, we'll discuss here, we'll be having some radius, and here we'll be having a more thickness due to some working conditions. So it will be in this way. Okay, this is our height, right, and this is our center, and generally this diameter will be taking a mean diameter that is given in the question. Okay, sheet has a mean flow stress of 350 megapascals. The mean flow stress value was given in the question, 350 megapascals, and also it is deep drawn to a cylindrical cup of 50 mm mid wall diameter, because in the mid wall section we'll be having a average diameters, right? So this is our mid wall thing, and from the end that mid wall the diameter was given. The diameter was given as 50 mm. Okay, and it is given at a mean wall. At mean wall we'll be calculating the diameter. It is given as 50 mm, right? And next things, the blank holding force. I said that we'll be using holders here, and they'll be need some force to hold them. That is nothing but the blank holding force, and generally that force is denoted by pH, and that is given in the question as 30 kilonewtons. And the coefficient of friction was given 0.1. Taking the die curvature, see here, this die will be having some curvature, right? This is our curvature section. For this we will be having center, Okay, the die curvature is given in the question as generally it will be denoted by small rd, die curvature, and it is given 8 times the thickness. Okay, thickness of the sheet. What is the appropriate load required and the final cup height? So what is the load required to to make this blanking operation, deep drawing operation? Here we need a force, right? We need to calculate the value of force. For that, initially first we calculate the height. How do we calculate height? We know that volume of material before machining. Since we are making only a forming operation, we are not doing any metal cutting, we are not trimming any metal out. So we are doing a forming operation. For forming operation, the volume of the metal before forming, nothing but before plastic deformation, is equal to the volume of the metal after plastic deformation. So here the volume of metal before plastic deformation is this. We have said that this thickness, if nothing is mentioned, the thickness will be taken as a nominal or a mean thickness. It will be applied to both the before drawing and after drawing. Okay, and for this we know pi by 4 into dB square into the thickness is nothing but the volume before, and after volume will be pi by 4 into, and this diameter generally whatever we are having here, this is called as cup diameter. The 50 mm given, it is called as cup diameter. We need to calculate the height. Then the cup diameter for that material is pi by 4 into, it is a cylindrical, right? So pi by 4 into dc square, okay, plus this bottom also will be having material, right? For that bottom material it is pi into, this is for bottom, pi by 4 dc square into the thickness, and for this cylindrical surface, the whole of cylindrical surface we are having, for that it is pi dc into h, right? And once we will be calculating that pi will be getting cancelled. Thickness, we said it is a uniform thickness, it will be cancelled, and from that we will be generally getting it as we can take it in terms of diameters or in terms of radius. If we take in terms of radius, rb square is equal to rc square plus 2 times of rc into h. So generally rb was given in the question as 50, so 50 square plus the rc is given in the question as 25, not plus here, it is equal to the rc is, the dc is 50 mm, then rc will be half of that, so 25 square plus 2 times of 25 into h. From this we will be getting the height of the cup formed, and that height we are getting it as 37.5 mm, and this is our one of the answer asked in the question. Next we will do the remaining things here. So to do the remaining things, we need to calculate the R final effective. Since we know here, if we can observe, at mean it is having DC, but at this point of holding, there is having some other diameter. This is called generally final diameter of the cup, because it is an opening to that, and this is given by RF, say suppose, and this RF can be calculated like this. RF, or final effective, can be calculated as RC, nothing but the cup radius, plus half of the thickness, because we will be taking half of the thickness, plus and also the small RD, nothing but the curvature radius. This is the curvature radius, we will be measuring from here. This is our curvature radius, okay, and this is our and here, and one more thing to note is when we are close to the holders, there our thickness will be t by 2, close to t by 2. When we are at minimum here, it will be somewhere around the minimum between t by 2 and the value of t, some t dash, and at here almost the thickness will be equal to the original thickness. So here the overall the thickness is not constant, okay. That is why in our question we assume it as an mean thickness to calculate the value of height. So this height is not exact height, but we will be using a mean thickness at the given original thickness, and we will be calculating height. But here when we are close to the holder, the thickness will be very less, okay, and it will be almost t by 2. That is why when calculating the value of RD, generally RD is calculated from here. This is the value of RD. So if you can see RD, it is half of this RC. This is RC, and also we said here thickness is t by 2, and also the small RD. So if you can take this is our RF, not RD actually, RF. This is 2RF, this is RF. So RF, we are calculating the R final, effective final, and that will be, here we are having the blank in this way, the final cup in this way. Here it will be having a minimal thickness, and as we go down the thickness increases. Here the thickness is assumed as t by 2, and here it is R cup, and here we are calculating from here, this is the small RD. So the final RF will be small RD plus RC, R3 means R cup plus T by 2. In that way, we'll be calculating R final. And that RC was given in the question, 50 mm was the diameter given, we'll be taking it as 25, plus the thickness was given as 1.2 mm upon 2, plus the RD is given as 8 times of thickness, 8 into 1.2, and this value comes out to be 35.2 mm. Once after getting this RF value, we need to take the sigma W, nothing but the sigma wall stress we are having in the wall of the vessel formed, and that once under the derivation we'll be getting it as, you need to remember this, mu into pH, nothing but the holding force, upon pi into the radius of blank into thickness, plus 2k into ln R blanking, nothing but R initial upon the R final effective, we have calculated here R final, right, plus sigma naught into T upon, here 2k is nothing but sigma naught, because the blanking is a case of plane stress. For plane stress, the 2k dash will be equal to sigma naught, nothing but the k dash will be equal to sigma naught upon 2. Okay, this is a case of plane stress or Tresca's criterion. Okay, so sigma naught T upon 4 into Rn, we did not calculate here Rn, we'll do it, into e power mu theta. In this question, the angle between the blank and the dry is not given. So if it is not given, then we'll be taking it as 90 degrees. So 90 degrees is nothing but 90 degrees is nothing but 90 into pi upon 80, pi upon 180 to convert into radians. Okay, we need, what is here Rn? Rn is called the neutral plane radius. So it is called as neutral plane radius. Okay, when we take our cup here, okay, this is our neutral plane in between the wall of the cup, and generally we know this will be having a thickness of T by 2, and here somewhere around will be our curve, the bending curve. Okay, for bending only we will find the neutral, and this radius was given as RD in the question. Therefore our neutral plane radius will be Rn is equal to RD plus T by 2. Okay, and that once we calculate, RD was nothing but 8 times of thickness, nothing but 9.6 mm, plus T by 2, 1.2 upon 6 is 0.6, that comes out to be 10.2 mm. So all the values were known. We'll just simplify here. We'll simplify all the values here. Sigma W, nothing but wall stress, is equal to mu was given in the question as 0.1 into the pH value, nothing but holding force, is given as 30 kilonewtons, upon the pi into the RB, nothing but the blank radius was given as 50, and the thickness is given as 1.2, plus 2k is nothing but the average flow stress, that is given as 2k is nothing but sigma naught, that is the average flow stress given as 350, into natural logarithm of RB initial, it is having 50, upon RB final we calculated effective, R final we calculated effective as 35.2, plus sigma naught given in the question as 350 into the thickness is 1.2 mm, upon the 4 into Rn we have calculated here 10.2. Okay, once we substitute all these, we will be getting the wall stress value, and that is equal to 174.38 megapascals. Okay, this was obtained. We need to calculate the force. We know, once we know the stress, stress is equal to force upon area, then force is equal to stress into area, and force is equal to stress sigma W into the area. Area here is 2 pi RC into the thickness, because in this wall material we are taking, right, this is our wall material, wall of the vessel formed, cup formed. So this is our wall material, and its area will be 2 pi RC into T. So since it will be in the 3-dimensional, it will be forming a cylindrical, so we will be taking the total cylindrical area 2 pi RC into T, and that comes out to be F is equal to sigma D. We just now will calculate sigma W. RC was known, nothing but the cup radius, the cup diameter, mean cup diameter was given as 50, then cup radius will be 25, T was 1.2. By calculating this, we will be getting our force value as 32.85 kilonewtons. 32.85 kilonewtons. This is our answer. In the concept series, we will make all these derivations, conclusions, why we are taking these values. In everything we will be seeing in the concept series, or you can refer some good textbook. And here comes our final question. Here our main purpose is to make you use your concept to solve the questions. and make you introduced to the new variation of questions, such that you will be learning something new from this. The way the concept is applied, knowing only the concept, knowing only the derivation is not at all enough for cracking an examination. We need to know how to apply that concept to the questions. So here comes our question number 5. The question number 5 says, you are given two workpieces. Okay, we are given two workpieces and they are of annealed 304 grade stainless steel. So they did some annealing process and they made some two workpiece, and there are 304 grade stainless steel rods were given. So there were rods given, each with diameter of 10 mm. So each is having a diameter, and nothing but the initial diameter is given as 10 mm, and also length was given in the question as 125 mm, and you are asked to reduce their dimensions of diameter. Actually here there is a correction. It is, instead of 2 you write it as by 0.5 mm. So if you reduce it by 0.5 mm, then the DF will be, we can't reduce 10 mm diameter, we can't reduce it 9 times closely 9 times, right? 10 upon 0.5 is almost like 20 times. We can't reduce it 20 times. Okay, so it is decreased by 0.5 mm. Okay, diameter is by from 0.5 mm, so it is DF will be 10 minus 0.5, 9.5 mm. And what else is given in the question? Okay, it is said that we will be doing this reduction in two processes on the two workpiece. When in one workpiece we will be doing in one method, on the other workpiece we will be doing in other method. Here comes our main difference between our forming operation and also the machining operation. Why we prefer forming over machining, or why we prefer machining over forming. Okay, I have taken this question just to show you the difference between forming and machining. We have seen already machining, right? Here we will see what exactly is forming. Machining is nothing. Here we will be applying turning operation to reduce its diameter. We know that we will be applying turning operation, keeping it on lathe. So the first question, condition for the one of the workpiece is we need to apply a pulling force, nothing but in tension. So that in tension we know, and this is the case of forming, there will be plastic deformation. Once there is a case of plastic deformation, our diameter will be reduced. So we need to reduce the diameter from 10.5 mm to 9.5 mm. And on the other workpiece we need to apply machining, keeping it on lathe in one pass. So in one pass we have to reduce its diameter. So when we are doing forming operation, generally we will not take the engineering stress. We will be considering the flow stress conditions. So for flow stress conditions we need the values, right? Generally the flow stress will be varying like K into epsilon power n. So here n is the strain hardening index, and it is given in the question as 0.45, and also the strength coefficient, nothing but the K is given as 1275 megapascals. And generally when we are doing a machining operation, we need specific cutting energy, nothing but the cutting energy per material removed. Okay, that is given in the question as a 4.1 joule per meter. We will be using there. So we need to calculate the ratio of respective amounts of work involved. So what will be the work involved in the two processes? Nothing but the energy consumed in the two processes. Suppose whenever we say work involved in plastic deformation, it is nothing but the total strain energy stored in the material till that point. So for that, first of all we need to take the stress strain curve to just show you how it varies. Okay, this is our stress strain curve. Since it is a elastoplastic material or elastic material which is applied forming, mean we are applying a load beyond the elastic limit, nothing but in the plastic limit. Somewhere you will be getting the ultimate point, and somewhere here failure point. So we will be applying generally the load till the ultimate strength. Okay, so here what we will do is, again in the previous case we have derived the flow stress equation, right? The mean flow stress equation, mean flow stress value by taking the integral part. Okay, so here also we will be doing the same. We will be taking d epsilon value at a distance of epsilon, and also the total strain till this value is, let it be, true strain be even. Okay, what we'll do is here we need not calculate stress. Here we need to calculate the strain energy. We know generally strain energy is calculated by stress into strain, nothing but the area under stress strain curve, right? So here also the same we'll be doing, but here we'll be taking as for a small element. Generally it will be under integration sigma flow. This is the flow stress, right? This is the flow stress, sigma flow into, we have taken a small element dE, and we'll be applying for the total from 0 to E1. Okay, and the sigma flow we know it is K into E power, so K into epsilon power n. So it is 0 into epsilon 1, nothing but true strain value, into sigma f is generally K into E power n into dE. Okay, and this comes out to be K into E power n plus 1 upon n plus 1 even power after applying limits. But we need to calculate the value of E1 first. So E1 is equal to Ln, we know true strain is equal to Ln L final upon L initial, and here we can apply volume on both. So volume before is equal to volume after. From that we will be getting L final upon L initial is nothing but A initial upon A final, right? And A initial upon A final is nothing but the 2 times nothing but D initial upon D final whole square. That square will be getting out of the logarithm. So it is 2 times of Ln D initial upon D final, and D initial was given in the question 10 and the D final was given in the question 9.5. From that we will be getting the true strain value as 0.1026. Once the true strain value is known, we will keep that in the strain energy condition. So strain energy U is, so this all we are doing for the first case for tension pulling under load, nothing but under load, it is undergoing plastic deformation. For the case of plastic deformation we are doing all this. U is equal to K value is given in the question 1275 into the even value we calculated 0.1026 power n is nothing, n plus 1 is nothing but 1.45, 1 plus 0.45 upon again 1.45. Okay, once we calculate this we will be getting the strain energy value. This strain energy is nothing but strain energy per unit volume. So 32.38 into 10 power 6 joule per mm cube, right? Once we got a strain energy, we need to calculate the work done under tension, nothing but the strain energy into the on, and the change in volume here will take on what volume we applied this load. So for to change what volume we applied this load, here nothing but the change in volume will be, what is the radius change? Radius change is 10 mm minus 9.5, nothing but 0.5 mm. So here the volume change will be pi into 0.5 whole square into the length given in the question as 125 mm, right? 125 mm into 125 mm. Okay, yeah, right. So here the value of U into the volume change, and the volume of U we have already calculated here, 32.38 into 10 power 6. How we got 10 power 6 is here, this 1275 is in megapascals, so we will be converted into 10 power 6. We will multiply into 10 power 6 to get the value in 10 power 6, and also volume also we will be taking in meter cube. This again now this becomes joule per meter cube if it is 10 power 6. Okay, this also will be taking in meter cube into 10 power 6 into pi into 0.005 converting into meter into 0.125 converting it into meter. Then the value work done will be getting under tension as 317.728 joules. Keep it aside. We'll be doing for the next case nothing but the work done under machining. Okay, generally work done under machine we will be using lathe, and we know whenever we are using lathe, whenever we are using a tool, cutting tool to remove the material, we need to spend some energy, nothing but it is called as the cutting energy. And that cutting energy generally in the question it is given specific cutting energy, nothing but joule per meter cube. So we need to take the specific cutting energy to calculate the work done. We need to take the specific cutting energy which is given in joule per in the question it is given in joule per mm cube. Okay, joule per mm cube into the volume of material removed. So here the volume of material removed will be, it is a cylindrical workpiece, right? So pi by 4 into D initial square minus D final square. Like keep them in mm only because the specific cutting energy was given in mm, and the specific cutting energy in the question was given as 4.1 joule per meter cube into pi by 4 into the D initial is nothing but 10 square, and also volume, right? So here we will also have length 10 square minus 9.5 square into the length in the question is given as 125, and this work done under machining is obtained as 3924.536 joules. Now they are set to calculate the ratio of work done under machining to the ratio of work done in the tension to obtain the same final output. Okay, and that comes out to be 3924.536 upon 317.728, and that comes out to be 12.3456. So from here we can observe one thing, that while we are doing machining operation to get the final same output of reducing the diameter from 10 mm to 9.5 mm, we are consuming a lot of work here. Work means nothing but we are consuming a lot of electricity here. Okay, But in cold working, nothing but the plastic deformation, nothing but the forming operation, we need only less work to get the final output. But in plastic deformation, there will be some residual stresses developed. There are some advantages and disadvantages for both the cases. Okay, and also forged material will consume less work. If it consumes less work, it will it will consume less work. It will be more efficient. Okay, but here this machining operation will be taking lot of power, lot of work, right? In this way, that is why I have taken this question just to show you how the difference between the forming and machining. This is all for today on the forming operation. We'll be continuing. We'll be doing many such questions. If anyone want these derivations, the proper way how these things were derived, you can just convey us your message on the Telegram. Sure, we'll be making concept videos on this. So this will be cleared. Since these were the solutions video, we can't make complete derivations here. Okay, it will be taking a lot of time. For each case, I have taken today 4 types of forming operations. One is here, the first case we have seen the wire drawing operation, and here comes our second case, we have seen our forging operation, and here comes our third one, which we have taken a rolling operation. After rolling, we have taken the deep drawing operation, and finally the difference between the forming and the machining operations, right? So since we are taking there are many derivations involved. Once or twice if you practice the derivations and remember all the formulas, you sort out all the formulas on a sheet, you revise whenever you are having time, then that will be very easy to solve these questions. These questions will be really straightforward. There is nothing logic involved. Just you need to know the formula and what were the terms given in the formula. Okay, and the main important thing is before starting forming, you just know what is actually plane stress and what is actually plane strain. Plane stress and plane strain are not both the same, they are different. You need to know what is exactly plane stress and plane strain. That you can get it from principal stress and strain chapters in strength of material. That is the basic for this. And after that, you just know what is the flow stress. Why we are taking flow stress here? Since it is a plastic material, since we are undergoing a plastic deformation, we can't apply engineering stress and engineering strain conditions here. Because at each and every point when it is in the plastic region, the stress keeps on changing. And also the material is flowing, right? The material is flowing under load. It is taking a permanent deformation under load. So that is why we will take the flow stress conditions here. That is the flow stress equation. For that, here we have taken one derivation for how we will be getting the sigma naught, nothing but a nominal stress or mean flow stress value. And also at the final 5th question, we have taken how we can calculate strain energy under flow stress. This is the strain energy under flow stress. We have taken that calculation. So in this way, you can solve many questions once the concepts are clear. Thanks for watching. Jai Hind.